Top 10 Fascinating Facts About the Creation of the World, Genesis Chapter 1. Discover the mysteries of Genesis in this video, where we explore 10 fascinating facts about the creation of the world. From plants that grow without sunlight to the divine purpose behind the stars and God's significant rest. Dive deep into a narrative that has shaped the perception of the cosmos for millennia. Number 10. The creation of the firmament. On the second day of the biblical creation narrative, a critical moment occurs with the formation of the firmament. This term, derived from the Hebrew, rakia, meaning something stretched or expanded, refers to what we understand today as the sky or atmosphere. According to Genesis, this firmament was specifically created to divide the waters from the waters. This implies a separation between the waters covering the earth and the waters gathered in the atmosphere, possibly referring to clouds and air moisture. The concept of the firmament as a dome or a celestial vault is an ancient view of the universe that reflects the cosmological understanding of the peoples of the Near East in antiquity. This worldview described a flat earth covered by a solid vault in which the stars were embedded, with gates that allowed the waters of the celestial ocean to pour down as rain. By establishing the firmament, a habitable terrestrial environment was formed, separating the chaos of the primordial waters and creating an ordered space where life could flourish. The firmament not only served a physical function but also a theological and symbolic one within the creation narrative. It acted as a tangible manifestation of order from chaos, a recurring theme in many cosmogonies. The creation of the firmament illustrates the authority and organizational power of God, who architecturally designed a habitat for all forms of life that would follow in the subsequent days of creation. This act also sets the stage for the interaction between celestial and terrestrial elements, which would play a crucial role in the rest of the creation story. Number 9. The origin of vegetation before the sun. The third day of creation, according to Genesis, presents a particularly intriguing event: the appearance of vegetation, specifically grass, seed-bearing plants, and fruit trees, before the creation of the sun and moon, which appear on the fourth day. This sequence challenges our modern understanding of photosynthesis, where sunlight is essential for plant growth processes. However, in the biblical account, light had already been created on the first day, suggesting that this primordial light had sufficient qualities to sustain plant life in the absence of a specific light source like the sun. This detail can be seen as an affirmation of God's independent creative power, which does not require the ordinary mechanisms that humans assume necessary. On this day, the earth is covered in green, marking the first appearance of life in a biological and complex sense in the narrative. Plants not only set the stage for the following acts of creation but also establish the basis of the food chain and ecological interdependence. Moreover, the act of producing seeds introduces the concept of reproduction and regeneration, essential for the sustainability of life on Earth. This order of events highlights an important theme within the text: the primacy of the divine word and will over natural laws. The creation of vegetation before conventional light sources underscores the idea that creation proceeds according to a divine plan, not necessarily aligned with human understanding of science or natural logic. This narrative invites readers to reflect on the nature of light and life, and how creation can be seen both literally and metaphorically in terms of dependence on a superior source and not merely physical processes. Number 8. The purpose of celestial lights. The fourth day of creation brings with it the formation of the celestial lights, the sun to govern the day and the moon to govern the night, along with the stars. This act of creation is notable for assigning very specific purposes to these celestial bodies. They are not only meant to separate light from darkness but also to serve as markers for the seasons, days, and years. In the biblical worldview, these functions are essential for the order and predictability of life on Earth, allowing humans and other living beings to adjust their life cycles to a regular rhythm. The idea that celestial lights act as signals is significant in the cultural context of the ancient Near East, where astronomy and astrology played a central role in society and religion. These bodies not only illuminate and define time but also are imbued with symbolic and spiritual meaning. The sun, moon, and stars were considered to influence earthly events and reflect the divine will. In this sense, the creation of celestial lights represents an act of ordering the cosmos that reflects a deliberate design and purpose. In addition to marking time and providing light, these celestial creations reinforce the relationship between heaven and earth. By establishing a constant and predictable cycle, they facilitate the emergence of rituals, festivals, and agricultural practices aligned with the cosmic calendar. This synchronization of earthly life with celestial rhythms underscores a carefully designed harmony, where each element of creation has a place and function. This ordering of time and space has not only practical implications but also carries a message about stability and predictability in a world governed by an orderly and conscious divinity. Number 7. Creation of aquatic and avian life on the same day. The fifth day of creation in the Genesis narrative witnesses a remarkable event: the simultaneous creation of aquatic life and birds. This day is characterized by the emergence of a diversity of creatures that inhabit both waters and the sky. The biblical narrative describes how God filled the seas with living creatures and the air with flying birds. This act highlights God's creative ability to populate completely different environments in a single creative act, and also shows the interconnectedness and rich variety of life on the planet. The joint emergence of these two realms of life illustrates a deliberate and functional design. Birds and marine creatures play crucial ecological roles in their respective habitats. For example, many birds depend on bodies of water for food, and some fish species require coastal or shallow areas that birds also inhabit. This design anticipates the complex ecological relationships that will sustain life systems on Earth. Additionally, the creation of birds could be interpreted as a preparation for pollination and seed dispersal, essential for the maintenance and expansion of the plants created the day before. This event also underscores the power and precision in divine creation. By filling the sky and the sea, God is not only creating life in varied forms but also establishing the natural balance and biodiversity that will characterize the terrestrial ecosystem. The creation of life forms that can fly and swim underscores the diversity of movements and abilities that will be explored in the creatures of the subsequent days. Thus, the fifth day establishes a precedent for interdependence and adaptability, fundamental principles in the maintenance of life and the ecological health of our planet. Number 6. The creation of terrestrial animals. On the sixth day, the Genesis narrative presents the creation of terrestrial animals. This act follows the creation of aquatic life and birds, illustrating a progression in creation from water, air, and finally, to land. It is interesting to note how this order reflects a methodical and staggered organization, where each stage prepares the way for the next. The terrestrial animals introduced include beasts of the earth, livestock, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. This diversification shows an expansion in the complexity and variety of life as the days of creation advance. The specification of different categories of terrestrial animals has both ecological and symbolic implications. Ecologically, each type of animal plays a unique role in maintaining the balance of their respective ecosystems. Large herbivores, such as livestock, for example, are crucial for shaping the landscape and facilitating areas for other forms of life. On the other hand, reptiles contribute to controlling the populations of insects and other small animals, thus maintaining the natural balance. These interactions show a wisdom in creation that anticipates the needs and dynamics of the natural world. In terms of symbolism, the creation of terrestrial animals highlights the dominion of life over the earth, a preparation for the final act of the creation of man, who would have dominion over them. This sequence can be interpreted as a deliberate design to establish a hierarchy and responsibility in the care and management of the earth. The introduction of a variety of terrestrial life forms before the creation of man suggests that caring for these creatures is an intrinsic part of the human vocation, a theme that will be repeated and expanded with the creation of man in the image of God and the mandate given to him. Number 5. Man, created in the image of God. The climax of the sixth day of creation is the formation of man, an act distinguished from all others by a unique declaration. Man is created in the image and likeness of God. This concept establishes a special relationship between humanity and the divine, differentiating man from all other forms of life created up to that moment. The image of God, interpreted in various theological and philosophical aspects, generally implies qualities such as rationality, morality, the capacity for relationships, and creative dominion, thus reflecting some aspects of the divine character. This act of creation not only implies the introduction of a new biological species but also the assignment of a spiritual and functional role. Man is placed in the Garden of Eden, not just to inhabit it but to tend and keep it, showing that responsibility and management of the earth are inherent aspects of the human condition. This assigned task suggests a vital purpose that goes beyond mere survival and reproduction, extending to the maintenance and cultivation of the environment, an echo of divine creativity. Moreover, the creation of man in the image of God introduces the idea of community and relationship. Just as the Trinitarian relationship in Christian doctrine, where the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit share a perfect unity, humanity is expected to reflect this model in its relations with others and with creation. This vision establishes an ideal framework for understanding human dignity and the social, cultural, and ecological interdependence, foundations for building a just and harmonious society. Number 4. The authority given to man. Following the creation of man in the image of God, he is granted a distinct authority over the rest of creation. This mandate, detailed in Genesis, includes dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the domestic animals, all the earth, and all the creeping things that crawl upon it. This grant of power is accompanied by the responsibility to govern and care, reflecting again the divine character in the management and protection of the created world. The dominion granted to man is significant, as it establishes a model for managing the world that is expected to be characterized by wisdom and sustainability. The ability to utilize natural resources, influence the environment, and shape the terrestrial habitat comes with the great responsibility of doing so in a way that preserves the integrity and beauty of creation. This delegation of authority also sets the stage for future biblical narratives that explore the consequences of both good and bad human management. Moreover, this authority underscores the uniqueness of the human being within the creation hierarchy. Unlike other creatures, which are primarily driven by instincts, humans are equipped with the ability to make conscious decisions that can alter their environment in significant ways. This capacity for choice and action carries with it the possibility of innovation and development, but also of destruction and neglect, a dilemma that remains central in contemporary discussions on environmental ethics and ecological responsibility. Number 3. The blessing of fertility. After creating man and woman, God imparted a particular blessing to them. Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. This blessing not only connotes procreation and population growth but also implies an expansion of human responsibility over the earth. By blessing them with the ability to multiply, God establishes the foundation for the expansion and development of human society, ensuring the continued presence and impact of man in the world. This blessing of fertility also extends to a broader mandate of management and care for the earth. The instruction to fill the earth is accompanied by the directive to subdue it, which implies an active and considerate management of the planet's resources and creatures. This mandate highlights the interdependence between human growth and environmental sustainability, where the success of one depends on the health and vitality of the other. Additionally, the concept of fertility transcends mere biological reproduction. In a broader sense, It also refers to creativity and productivity in all facets of human life. This ability to generate new ideas, solutions, and improvements in the living environment again reflects the image of God as creator. Thus, fertility becomes a metaphor for the abundance and prosperity that future generations are expected to achieve, not only in number but in quality of life and harmony with the created environment. Number 2. The originally designed diet. One of the most intriguing aspects of the creation narrative in Genesis is the diet originally prescribed for both humans and animals. According to the account, all were assigned every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, for their food. This indication suggests an initially vegetarian diet, marking a plant-based eating plan that was not only suitable for the health of living beings but also promoted harmony with the natural environment. This initial dietary prescription has both ecological and theological implications. From an ecological perspective, a plant-based diet implies a lower environmental impact compared to carnivorous diets, which require more resources and have a more significant impact on the environment. This choice could be interpreted as a way to maintain the balance and sustainability of the newly created world, ensuring that natural resources remain abundant and not overexploited. From a theological perspective, the assignment of a vegetarian diet also reflects a world in which violence and predation are not necessary for survival. This initial peace among all forms of life emphasizes a state of innocence and harmony, which, according to some interpretations, was the original divine ideal. Beyond its nutritional function, plants and fruits with seeds symbolize life and continuous regeneration, essential aspects for a creation designed to thrive and perpetuate in peace and abundance. Number 1. Creation in 6 days and rest on the 7th. The most prominent and fundamental aspect of the creation narrative in Genesis is the temporal structure in which it unfolds. The world is created in 6 days, and on the 7th day, God rests. This pattern not only structures the creation narrative but also establishes the Sabbath or day of rest, a practice that becomes a central component of religious and social life in many cultures, especially in Jewish culture. This day of rest symbolizes a time for reflection, renewal, and recognition of the completed work. God's act of resting on the 7th day is significant for several reasons. First, it establishes a divine model of balance between work and rest, a principle that is reflected in sabbatical laws and influences labor regulations. The 7th day emphasizes the complete sufficiency and perfection of creation. By ceasing to create, God declares that all that has been made is very good, indicating that the creation is complete and self-sufficient without the need for further additions. This pause in creation also symbolizes divine satisfaction and delight in the accomplished work, a model for humans to appreciate and value the world around them. Thus, the 7th day is not only a conclusion to the act of creation but also a beginning, establishing a rhythm of life that balances doing with being, activity with contemplation.